Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Wannabes podcast. I'm your host, Morgan, and this is my co host, Luke. Thank you for joining us tonight, everybody, wherever you are, whether on YouTube, Twitch, or even over on Spotify. But tonight, we're talking about a very interesting film, one that has been quite a hot topic, if we will, over the past last week, and that is none other than The Bride, which is produced, and written, and directed by Maggie Gyllenhaal, and starring Jesse Buckley, Christian Bale, and Peter Sarsgaard, not to be fucked up with Skarsgård. So, yeah. So real quick, everybody, Luke, how are you? How's it going?
I'm doing great. It's been a pretty good day.
Good.
I have no complaints.
Perfection. Well, this is just in case everybody, if you're upset that we are watching this, this is all Luke's fault. No, I'm kidding. But this was one of Luke's picks. Hey,
This
y'all
was a
like to?
good pick.
It was a decent pick. No, I'm not. I'm actually. I have thoughts, very strong thoughts and opinions, but I'm not upset that we watched this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've had nothing but good to great picks this year. I don't think I've had one bad pick so far. It's still early in the year. There's a lot of time, but good luck, have fun, don't die. We loved Scream 7. We had a good time with. Now we're
I
here, and I can't think of
had a
where else.
mediocre time with Scream 7.
I
You
had a
had a
great
good.
time with it
You had a
for
good
all the
time.
wrong reasons, but I had a good time with it.
All right, everybody. So, if you're not familiar, The Bride is a 2026 American Gothic romance film. It had its world premiere at the Empire Leicester Square in London on February 26th, and then it was
Fancy,
released. Huh?
fancy.
Yes. And then it was released in the United States by Warner Bros. Pictures on March 6th, where it received mixed reviews from critics and grossed, some money that we're going to get into here in just a second. But I do want to say real quick, touching on like the criticism, there was stuff online going like that people like it was having mass walkouts from the theaters. I don't know how accurate those were. Could be people just being weird. I don't know. But real quick, the go ahead. I knew you were
Have
gonna say
you
something.
ever have you ever in your honestly, have you ever in your life sat down for a movie and walked out or seen somebody walk out?
Yes. I don't remember what film.
Okay.
I actually you and I used to both work at the movie theater. I've had a few people come out and ask for refunds like 30 minutes into a movie before.
Yeah, I don't that's stupid. Like the only one that comes to mind for me is like somebody watched all of the live action Beauty and the Beast and came out bitching because it wasn't the animated one. And I was like, at what point were you
And you
watching
waited
this and
till the
you
end?
realized it's not that's not what you thought it was? Idiots.
Oh
So,
my god.
listen. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't care. You can come for me if you want, but sometimes y'all are stupid. I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
I mean, so like one
Sometimes.
thing is like I'm never gonna walk out on a movie because well, we review movies, so the only way I can properly review a movie is by watching it all. So I will always, no matter what, no matter how interested or uninterested I am in a film, I will watch it for the sake of the show. Because
That's a, I can't say the same because I turned off the fucking Mickey Mouse horror film that you jackasses made me watch.
hey, I
I
never
say
said it
jackass
was.
with love, by the
I
way.
I never said that movie was gonna be good.
That's not a walkout, but that's pretty close. So I've done it. That thing. I still haven't watched the ending of it. Stupid.
It's okay. You're not missing much.
Yeah, no. Anyway, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. But no, so I don't really know how accurate those are or like what the whole like deal was about it.
Yeah.
But because of that, I will say I went in I think a little lower expectation. Not necessarily because I like believed, oh, this is really bad, but like okay, if that is legitimately happening, let's not go in with super high expectations either. So anyway, for the sake of everything, the budget of this film was $85 million, and it hasn't necessarily done the best at box office considering its budget. I think it did have another, if I remember correctly, I read somewhere that it had, I want to say another 50,000. It was either 50 or 500,000, but I want to say $50,000 in marketing as well, which is something we don't normally get to hear about in terms of like its monetary value. But anyway, in the United States and Canada, The Bride was released alongside Hoppers and was projected to gross 16 to 18 million from 3,304 theaters during its opening weekend. The film earned 3 million on its opening day, including 1 million from Thursday night previews. It, to put it simply, kind of ended up bombing its opening weekend, only grossing 7.3 million in both the United States and Canada, where it did place third behind Hoppers and the second week holdover Scream 7. Now, there is $6.3 million elsewhere for a worldwide gross of 13.6 million. As of March 9th, The Bride grossed 7.6 million in the United States and Canada, 6.3 million in other territories, and for a current, as of March 9th, a worldwide total of $13.9 million. Overall, that is considered in this day and age with the budget it had, that's considered a bomb opening weekend.
Yeah, no, it's probably not gonna break even.
No. I think this is one with, like, obviously the heat, the criticism that it's already getting online, that people will just like, "Oh, I'll wait and see it on streaming." And then I think also it was poor timing coming out, especially against Scream 7, and then Hoppers being a very highly anticipated animated film as well. I think it just had some rough contenders to go against in the box office specifically. Not
Yeah, I
necessarily
never.
saying an enjoyment, just in general of
No, I
people's
guess
interest.
I can definitely like Hoppers for sure. I get that. I don't think it had any chance of beating Hoppers,
Mhm.
like at all, zilch. But I think there's a case to be made, or a universe where where it beats Scream 7. But like, we talked about it last week. There's nostalgia going into that. It's the seventh installment of franchise. It's a slasher. Like it's got
I
everything
mean,
going for it to where it that's definitely going to make money. This is experimental. This is different. This is out of left field. So yeah,
yeah.
this is going to be a
I
tougher
mean,
sell
last
regardless.
night alone, because I saw it last night, for
How was the
$5
theater?
movie night. I didn't go to the other theater, so I had a much better experience.
Was it
Um,
packed?
it wasn't packed, but it did have a decent amount of seats filled. So, it wasn't like an empty theater by any means.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, while I was in the line getting my concessions, because I always need popcorn, it's movie night, therefore I need popcorn. Um, the people behind me, like, it was like two couples, were hardcore talking about the timeline and the different movies of Scream 7. So, like, there's definitely a lot of people there when I was there to see Scream 7 for sure. But,
Yeah. Especially given $5 Tuesdays and half off or whatever anybody's local theaters might be doing on like a Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm
yep,
sure something like Scream is perfect to get like a resurgence and get a new little zap of some cash. So I'm not surprised. But yeah, this was always going to be a tough sell. There were things that I was looking for when it was announced. Like we talked about it before. I have been hyped to see this since it was announced. I was pretty excited about it.
I was intrigued
The
as well.
the only thing that I really needed it to kind of compete with was Del Toro's Frankenstein, and I never thought it was going to be that good. But I felt like there was a really good chance to do something really different here, and we'll get into whether or not I think it did. So,
Sure, sure.
but I
Well,
understand everything going into box office and why it's sitting where it's sitting.
yeah. And for anybody real quick who isn't familiar with the plot of The Bride, just real quick, here's the quick summary is speaking from the afterlife, Mary Shelley says she has a story she wanted to tell after Frankenstein, but could not due to her health. So to tell it, she possesses a woman named Ida, a woman living in 1936 Chicago, who in her trance proceeds to discuss the criminal activities of a crime boss, Lupino. Lupino's henchmen Clyde and James discreetly kill her afterward. Uh, Discreetly debatable. um, but it goes on that she ends up being reanimated or reinvigorated, as the movie likes to call it. And then Frankenstein or Frank or Frankie and the bride go to the cinema, and then they basically end up going on like a whole criminal run after, well, he killed two people defending her. So that's the very quick
Yeah,
version.
that And I mean, that right there is a lot. I mean, that's probably a good way to summarize the movie in general. There's a lot going on here. Um, I
There's
guess
a lot.
well, right off rip, Jesse Buckley and Christian Bale. It's the reason why this movie is struggling has nothing to do with them. They are fantastic in this movie, I think. I think Christian Bale plays a great monster. I do like the lore that the monster is given, um, and how he got from what did they say 1819 to 1930. Enjoy
Mhm.
all that. Enjoy the journey. Enjoy what they did to bring Ida back and give her and essentially bring her back as Penelope now as the bride. I love her look. I love the monsters look. That whole story I have no issues with, and what they do portraying these characters I think is top notch. It's unfortunate it's in this movie, but it's not because of Christian Bale and Jesse Buckley. They are acting their asses off in this movie, and they're both very very good in it.
Yeah, I have to completely agree with you. Like, I mean, both actors bring it. They both do a phenomenal job. Christian Bale, I really enjoy this interesting line he toes between the two different, I feel like very two different sides of Frankenstein. This one that is kind of like, I've seen this all happen before. I am a monster. I can be brutal versus I am gentle. I am lonely. I just want someone to have to experience life with, which is not the
Excuse me.
first time obviously we've heard that storyline with Frankenstein. Now, Christian I think did a very great job with kind of like playing between those different sides of Frankenstein. Now, Jessie, our lovely Ida or Penelope or Ginger, whatever we want to call her, um, holy hell, baby girl can monologue. I wasn't the biggest fan of her as Mary Shelley, only because I wasn't in love with the accent, but I also didn't hate the accent. Because it was necessary to know when like we were seeing her crack between basically her two different personalities. Um, but in all, like they both like acted their asses off for this, and I really appreciate the what they put into it.
Yeah. Um, who else is in here? Jake Gyllenhaal is in here. I don't completely understand why. Penelope Cruz is in here. I don't really understand why. Fucking, you said Peter Sarsgaard is in here. He plays a detective role along with Penelope Cruz. She's another detective who are hunting down our two monsters. I don't, I don't need them. But then that goes along with everything else that's going on in the story. Like you said with the summary, it's Mary Shelley is possessing this girl who then is killed, and she's undercover for the police, helping out with the mob and all this shit that's going on in there. It's like there's too many characters, there's too many stories. I just needed them to any of them I like individually, but together it's like this movie isn't 3.5 hours long, which is what
Yep.
it needs to be for something like this. But it's not. It's just under 210, and it shows because a lot of shit shows up, then goes away, then
Yeah,
shows up
like
again and goes away.
it's one of those things where so first I completely agree with you. I actually like every single storyline this movie gives me, but they end up giving me, especially for the runtime, they give me too much because you don't give enough time for all the stories to come to fruition and to have a payoff. So at the end of the day, you're kind of like, well, I wish this mattered more, but in a way it didn't. Like this is supposed to carry more weight than it, but it doesn't, and that's
Yeah,
because they just didn't have enough time to shine because each plot point and each different story arc we were given that were supposed to be intertwined with one another honestly intrigue me and interest me and I think could have been fantastic, but they all end up just kind of muddling each other when you get to the middle. And then of the like I feel like the beginning of the movie of them like kind of finding each other and even themselves a little bit is really interesting. Like the beginning of the romance, the first beginnings of the killing, cool. And then you get into this like in between part where it gets weird and it gets really muddled. And then we get an amazing standoff monologue where it brings up the stakes even higher, especially with our bride, with Ida, and where our detectives really we notice there's a connection with her and the detective. Um, and I love that. I loved that scene a lot, but then it gets really muddy again. And then I love the ending, like the kind of confrontation that we end up having a little bit with her and Frankenstein because she has more information of her previous life. And I love that part, but then it kind of gets muddy again. And there's just so much that like I want to like this movie more than I do, but I can't because there's so much that just wasn't paid off for me.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. And I mean, I'm kind of dancing around the other performances by everybody else in the movie because their storylines just don't go anywhere. So I can't really judge them whether or not they're good or bad. I mean, when everybody in here is a good actor,
Hmm.
is a good actor to very good actor. Juliana, yeah, Julianne Ho is Ho is yeah, it's Ho is in here. Annette Bening plays Dr. Euphronius. I love that character. She is the pseudo Victor
She's
Frankenstein.
amazing. I loved her. I
She
wanted
is
more of
kind
her.
of yeah, right, exactly. She's kind of, I guess you could say, a student of Dr. Frankenstein. We don't really get into how she can do what she can do, but she can do the things. She's the one that
She
brings the monsters
also
to life.
dropped some lore right at the very end of the movie that I wish we could have explored more.
Yeah, there's a mob boss in here, like I said, because Ida is undercover, but like that doesn't go anywhere. It shows up in the beginning and then it's out. I'm glad that you said in the summary, or that's in the summary, that Mary Shelley is possessing this woman, because that's not clearly identified in the movie to me as well. Now there's scenes,
It is at the
especially
very
in
at the very beginning. She says, "I'm going to possess her," and after
yeah,
that, that's it.
I get it. And then even the mobsters say that she's possessed, but it's like, is she possessed or is she just drunk and she's fucking losing her mind a little bit? Or
Or she
maybe
on
it's
drug? I mean, she's with
or
the mob. Is she on drugs?
she could have fucking multiple personality disorder. It's the
Hmm.
30s. We don't fucking know yet. You know what I mean? Like, there's
I
a lot of
also
things that are just said and they're not really explained. Like
I'm
the
happy you
whole
mentioned that.
yeah
I'm really happy you mentioned that because at the very beginning when he's like, "Hey," like we're the two like guys like the kind of like the like henchmen, if you will, were just like, "She's possessed. Go get
yeah
help." Kind of
yeah
felt like the was like they're almost in a weird way like the she's a witch. And but like in the 1930s, like especially late 1930s, that wasn't really a problem anymore and we weren't doing the "ooh witch burn her" thing anymore. But
nah,
it
but
felt like
anybody
the
could get sent to the asylum.
yes, 100%. Now, and because you say that though, it's so interesting because there is a lot of feminine energy, and like feminine empowerment, and how women are being fucking wronged in this world in this movie. There's a lot to unpack underneath those themes. And I think sometimes some things are for the sake of, oh, well, has happened to woman, kind of like the, for example, she's a witch, burn her, that she's possessed. Kind of felt like their weird way of like bringing that up. Um, I like the woman empowerment that happens in it. I wanted more time with it though, for it to come to more fruition with like what we see happening in the world around as we get to like that later half of the movie.
Yeah, I like the ideas. I just don't think they're executed very well. And especially
Agreed.
that right there in the beginning, like in the trailers, they make it seem like this is probably the only real spoiler thing I'm gonna say.
Hmm.
Um, they make it seem like in the trailer that our girl here is like straight up murdered, right? And she's not. She kind of falls down some steps. And
Yeah,
then later on in the movie, they're talking about it, and the two mobsters are like, "Yeah, we took care of it." It's like, did you though? Like, you didn't even mean to do that. I feel like this was just an accident. Like
yeah,
legit,
I
it
know.
was
Like
a
literally
legit
reading
accident.
reading the plot that people have out there, like Lupino's henchmen Clyde and James discreetly kill her afterward. No, they don't.
No, they
That's a
don't.
that's a death by accident. At first, they seem like they're trying to like figure out what's wrong with her,
They
calm
want to
her
take her home.
down. Like, let's take
Yeah,
it. Like, girl, you're talking crazy shit. Now, maybe they would take her home and kill her. We don't know if that would have happened or not because obviously they still are under one of the crime bosses, one of the mob bosses of
right.
Chicago. But either way, her actual death, though happens to, in a roundabout way, be at their hands, isn't done by them. And that's why it's weird to me at first. Like, I was the entire time being like, okay, so when is the guys that she was like kind of sleazing around with? I don't really know. Like, obviously, we know later down the road there's more to it than that. But she kinda just seemed
Yeah,
like part of this weird, gross, like, intimate friend group,
yeah,
and like, none of them are, like, all of a sudden like, "Hey, she's obviously alive and in her dress that she was buried in." Like, she had a like, part of me is like, "Did she not have a headstone?" They were in an actual graveyard when
yeah,
she was being unburied. Like,
yeah. Somebody took the time to give her like an actual burial.
yeah, and
You
that's
know, we
another thing
didn't.
why it's like, did Frankenstein never really actually know her real name? Because I feel like there would have been a headstone right there telling you who she was, and I
Right,
feel
and
like
it's not.
Frankenstein's so detail oriented, he would have read it.
Well, it doesn't seem like something that these mobsters would do either if they're trying to get rid of a problem. Like you wouldn't just accidentally have somebody fall down the steps and then bury them. You would like,
See,
this seems like one of those
and
we're
that's
gonna
the
dump
thing,
you in the
when they
ocean
were
type of thing.
digging, they hit hardness, they hit a coffin.
Yeah,
She was properly buried, she wasn't just thrown in a hole somewhere by the
yeah,
mob.
right, right. That's what I'm saying. So when later on when they go, yeah, we took care of it, I'm like, but did you?
I mean, fair, they probably were there at the ceremony, they were part
Yeah,
of the
sure.
burial service. Sure, they
Yeah.
thought it was taken care of.
So that is John Magaro. I love him. He's a very good actor. But like his character, there's even like a hint that maybe that he's kind of into our girl, into the bride before she dies.
Yes!
And like that doesn't go anywhere. It's fucking. There's a lot of shit going on in this movie, but we do get our bride killed. I'm just gonna say killed, and then fucking our boy Frankenstein shows up. I'm just gonna call him Frankie. They call him Frankie. So
Yeah.
Frankie shows up, finds himself Doctor Euphronius, and their whole interaction I fucking love. It's
I agree.
fantastic to
100%
see the
agree with you.
monster. This doctor is like holy shit, like this is real, and this is Frankenstein exists in this world. I love it.
I love, um, Annette Bening is the actress for our doctor, and I love how
Fantastic.
she portrays like, this teetering of, like, woman of, like, utter fascination to scientist. Like, "I'm fascinated you, now I wanna study you." To then, "I have a moral standard," which we find out later why she has it, and I feel like it would have been even better hearing it sooner, than when we hear her reasoning behind why she was hesitant to do this for him. Um, but I don't I love how, Miss Bending ended up doing that. I loved her portrayal of this doctor
Yeah,
so much. She's
I
one of my
don't I
favorite
don't
characters.
I don't mind that because there's the line where the monster looks at her and goes, "I thought you were a mad scientist." Because at the end of the day, that's what she is. That's why she does this stuff. It's the same
Yes.
thing that got Frankenstein, right? He wants to do it just to know if he can, and that's all it is. It's just a challenge. So I dug that, and I kind of figured there would be something that would show up later to give me like a why, and I like that story too. But there's just too much BS in between, which I'll start to get into because once these two characters show up, my biggest fear, even when I saw the trailer, was that these two characters were going to end up being like a Bonnie and Clyde archetype, and
I
they
mean,
do,
they
and I
100% do. I mean,
I
even there
don't
was
necessarily like that. I'm not
even
the biggest fan of that aspect. Them together
yeah,
is sweet, but doing this cross country like just fucking um uh crime spree. I'm like, I mean, and it's not even like they're really doing anything that bad. There's a couple instances where there's
there's a couple
violence, but it's always justified, which
there's
is
yeah, it's
I'm
always
cool
in
with that.
self-defense in a way
Right.
or which I get.
Well,
There's
I don't like it in for this thing because this movie wants to like it's definitely a feminist movie, which is totally fine, but it's got a beat me over the head message, and I don't think it's executed very well. Like the fact that, sorry if this is sensitive to anybody. I understand the subject matter is a bit rough, and I
of
feel
the
for you. I
sexual
really
assault.
do. Yeah, the fact that the bride is about to get raped in the middle of the street, and then fucking the monster comes in and just wrecks shit. He fucking kills the bad guys, which is good. But then they snap pictures, and there's all these witnesses that saw everything, and all anybody can say is the monsters killed two people. Really?
Yeah.
That's the
Yep.
story we're going with. All right, cool. Like that's fine. The only and then there's a police officer that gets killed
Dude,
too
the
in like the
police
dumbest way.
officer
Like I
part
don't like
to me,
that.
I hated
That's forced.
the
No, not
police
that one.
officer one was
Not that one.
gross.
Not that
Oh,
one.
the
Not
train
that
one?
one. Yeah, the trade one. That one's
Yeah.
stupid. I didn't need that either way. I don't like the weird morality that's going on here that they're trying to, like, after all the shit that this woman has seen, has been a part of, and has done before
Well,
that
remember, she
point.
doesn't remember it.
I understand. No, I understand, but that's why it's like I don't understand why we want to give her this weird morality when she's been, cross country doing God knows what. You know what I mean? Now it's too much, and you didn't even really do anything that bad. My man just like fell.
It's one of these like interesting things because she was almost like it, like watching this character. It's interesting because she like has the like you're saying these moments of morality. Like, oh my god, did I just kill a man? Oh my god, did I just tear out a man's tongue? Oh my god, did I do this or did I do that? But then she gets like this very quick, like almost like intoxication from the excitement of it at the same time. And which it kind of works for like kind of that breaking personality. But sometimes I felt like the slip between the two is almost too quick. That we needed more gradual to, oh my god, like I just did this and make it go slower from this disbelief and fear and disgust with herself to fuck yeah, let's just go raise hell. I felt like
Well, no,
sometimes that switch was too quick.
no, it is too quick, and I'm gonna jump ahead to your favorite scene because it's in there
What?
too. They're in a whole new city. They're in a fucking ballroom. They crashed a party,
Love that scene.
and there's a huge monologue scene. And while this is going on, the bride is speaking not just as Mary Shelley, but as other women as well. And it's like people that have been wronged. And at no point
She says
throughout
she
this
speaks
entire
for the
movie,
dead because
right?
she has seen women who have been
No, no,
fucked
fine.
up.
But she also is like switching accents and is
Yes.
is speaking like she is these women, and that's fine. But at what point was it ever discussed or mentioned or even come close that the bride is now a conduit for spirits? That's all I'm saying is when did this become a thing? Like I'm on board with it if that's the case, but when the
Now,
fuck are we going to talk about that?
there's a
Because if they
couple. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, if we would have done this, well, because the movie takes
Because
place in Chicago first. If we would have done this in Chicago,
this
I would have
happens in New
understood.
York.
Right, but it doesn't. It happens in fucking New York, and she's around a whole new crop of people that she's probably never met, and she just goes off on this tangent. I love the tangent, but that part right there, I was like, when was this a
Well,
thing?
I will say back then, the major cities did have like cross connections with one another usually when it comes to like the mob. Um, however, usually,
Yeah, sure.
but but I 100% get where you're coming from, and I think we could argue with the information we end up learning a little bit after this whole situation with her and the detective guy. Not gonna go super deep into it, but
I would have loved flashbacks instead of the scene I get of
I
him
agree.
explaining everything. I would have rather seen it than him sitting there and telling me because I thought that was lame. That scene I don't like.
Well, we need that so no offense that our director's husband could have more screen time.
Brother,
Um, bro, I thought they were husband and wife.
nah, they're brother sister.
Are you sure?
Jake and Maggie, yeah, they're brother sister.
No, 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 no. I'm talking about the detective, Sarsgaard.
Oh,
That's her husband. I'm pretty sure that's
really?
her husband.
I'm gonna Google that. Keep going.
Okay. But like there for me like cuz there is a connection with the detective. She has obviously connections with the mob and she is it could be argued she is speaking for the
Do it quick.
dead and with speaking for the dead, she's speaking for the women that she knows personally that was murdered at the hand. But at this point though, she still doesn't really know that she knows these people. 'Cause it's her she has amnesia. She has, like, things that feel familiar, but she doesn't know are really her memories. Like, these names she is saying, because she started saying them those names and saying things like that even when she was first being possessed by Mary Shelley in the very opening act of the film. And so it could be stated that it's her like breaks in her memory or little pieces of her memory filtering back to her. Or you could also argue, apparently now she's a conduit for spirits, which I'm fine with either option. It kind of felt like they were implying that, even though I think you could just argue it's honestly like memories that she can't remember, people she knew in her previous life.
It still all feels out of place for me because it's in New York. If they did this in Chicago,
I
where
just want
she's
to talk about that
actually
dance scene though,
undercover, which okay, I don't. Okay, so I'm gonna
because that's
ahead of time.
weird.
I did watch a review ahead of time, and my man said that this movie is what Joker Folie à Deux thinks it is.
Did
And
you?
you see the same one? Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree.
I
I I,
agree.
I agree with it.
It's the better
See,
version for sure.
I did like it in the context, but then also like I need more explaining. I get it from the monster's point of view because he has an obsession with an actor in these movies and
He
he's projecting
dances.
himself in
Yep.
these scenarios where he's in the movie and he's living it
See,
out vicariously. I get that, but when they do the
I
dance
thought
scene
I
and then
thought the
everybody
dance
else
scene was
starts
a
dancing,
hallucination. I thought he was hallucinating, or like in his mind, this is like how his evening is going. And then when the detectives and the police walk in, I was like, "Oh no, this is real." And
yeah,
that was weird to me because they were almost like making it look like through the movements of other people joining that they were like being contorted and almost like in a way possessed. And I
right,
was just like, "But there's so much they're not explained."
right.
Like
What
most
again?
everybody else,
When
they
was
would have
this a
just
thing?
stood there. They would have just stood there and watched them like they were fucking weirdos, like it first started out as. But like
Right.
so like choose a lane. In my opinion, like there's so many different like things coming out, and now I appreciate the dance. I know that they're trying to do a callback, I think, to the old school black and white Frankenstein Frankenstein's Bride where they do like a weird dance together, if I'm not mistaken. Um I think it's a rough callback to that.
I like that.
No, not like that. Not like that at all. But
I'm,
I think
I'm
it's a
gonna
smidge
double
of a
check that one.
I think there might be a callback because if I remember correctly, it's been a really long time since I've watched that film. I remember there
Same.
being a dance, and maybe that scene is meant to be a callback to that. But even if it was, I don't understand this weird, almost possession look that you're happening with the other guests. It's
No, straight
weird.
up. Where the fuck did that come from? That's all I want to know. Because I again, fine, it's not bad, but like, just when? When was this ever a thing? When were we able to do this? There's even a scene later with the fucking detective, and they're sitting at a drive-in, they're watching a movie, and then the detective is looking at the fucking movie screen, and it's them having the conversation in the car that they're having, but they're also on screen together, like they're in the movie, having the exact same conversation.
Yeah.
What is that about? What does that mean? I
In
don't.
my brain, that is more for us than it is the other people in the world. I think that is kind of like in ways like fraction how I personally interpret it because I do agree it was still weird how
Yeah,
the way my I thought about it and like interpreted it for it to work in my brain for my own canon is
yeah,
because Frankenstein has gone to the movies and he idolizes this actor. He idolizes his characters, his movies. Like in this moment, like while he's having this discussion with her, he's also can't help but also envisioning similar moments that he's seen in these films. And it's almost like his brain is kind of being projected onto the screen of how he's envisioning it going. That's how I allowed it to try to make sense in my brain.
I tried to, and until Penelope Cruz saw it, and then I was like, what? What the fuck is happening? Not even just her. There's the other dude there too. I'm pretty sure he looks at the screen. It's like, all right, I don't understand, but
Oh yeah,
that's
Clyde.
fine. I mean, it's there's other things.
There
There's like there's a revolution going on in the background too. Like this is why it gets compared to the second Joker film because they
yes.
spark a revolution. People are dressing up like them, dressing up like the bride in the streets. They're rioting. There's all this other shit. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. It's just I don't know that we've done enough to earn that storyline. We don't really go with that storyline. It's like a snippet. It's like we're doing the Bride of Frankenstein in the 30s, and then we stop briefly for this other thing. We spend a minute there, and then we go back to the Bride of Frankenstein. And
Like
there's a lot of that jumping around.
I wanna like it's one of these things where, the 1920s, like we've had a couple different movements for like, national women's suffrage, women's rights, those began all the way back in 1848, right? But if we want
Yeah,
to look at it, one of the really big first wave culminations it was in 1920, which was the 19th Amendment that was ratified granting women the right to vote. Then the second wave of that, of like big women's rights, didn't happen until the 1960s into the 1970s, with like where the like this women's rights movement re-emerged, focusing on like the workplace equality, legal rights, reproductive rights, so on and so forth. Not saying there weren't many movements all throughout there, but if like this was pigeoned around also a major woman like woman rights movement, I think that would have held better grounds, just for like the reality, and it being like more solid and grounded, if you will. But it,
I
it
guess.
doesn't it doesn't surround it. And like we're also at a pivotal time, like the 1920s through like the 40s was a very like shaping time for women, because after the First World War, women were, they were finally working. They weren't always just staying at home
It
anymore.
had to be during World War II.
Yeah, and then even more so when World War II is happening, which World War II is happening at the time. Hold on, I gotta double check that date. When is it? Hold on. When does World War II start? Because it doesn't end until 45,
I think it's like 38 to 45.
39. So yeah, technically we're 3 years before even World War II begins, but women started working even in World War One, usually as like nurses and so on. Like we finally were getting nurses and stuff like that. So
Right.
like we are, don't get me wrong, in a pivotal time frame of like a pivotal like 10, 20 years of like women like changing to time, and us like moving into like through our different rights and our new station as women, if you will, which there could be grounds for like the feminism we are seeing in this film. But like you're saying, I feel like it wasn't fully earned by her just one big speech.
Right. And it's heavy-handed in other parts. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah,
said, that first scene, and then they everybody sees what happened,
like
and
there
they have
wasn't anybody
pictures.
filming at that event. It's not like it was like, in other eras where like we had live film, and it was like, okay, well, here's now a recording dropped onto the news. It was all
Well, they
through.
still have they still have photos, but it's just like after all that, they still frame it as, the monsters are bad and they're doing this thing. They don't give
Exactly.
any time as to why. Same thing with later on with the
Now,
scene that you didn't like with the police officers. It's
to be
like,
fair, it was probably the woman in the room, because you could tell that some of them were starting to like understand and kind of like, I feel like, connect with what she was saying, because there was a couple shots around the room, and it's probably more them who sparked the movement than really her. Like
yeah,
they were inspired by her, but then they were really the ones who did the movement.
yeah,
She was just the icon that started it, because with
sure.
them. But
No,
anyway, sorry.
100%. But
I- will I
it
will
does
end the
happen
tangent there.
it does happen seemingly overnight, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, but then going into the second scene that you don't like with the creepy officer, it's like I don't I everything that they're doing is justified. Like they're not, maybe that's the message too, but like, it keeps giving me the forced narrative of the monsters are bad, but it's like they're not. They're definitely justified in what they're doing. The only thing that they're doing that's dumb is their reasoning for this cross country trip. Like that's, and that they don't even say that they're doing this. It's the detectives that say they're doing this, and then later on they go, "Oh yeah, we're doing this cross country thing for this reason." I was like, "Well, all right, that seems a little too obvious, though." You know what I mean? I don't know why you're making it so easy on everybody. And then you're supposed to be, and then you're like indestructible monsters. Like, why do you care to stop in the middle of the road for a police officer when you could just keep driving? Why are we even doing that? What the fuck are they gonna do to you? You're
I
indestructible. My
mean,
man has been alive for over 100 years. What is he worried about?
there's also
Clearly,
like the line where he's like, "Be nice to him,
yeah,
don't cause us trouble," and then
right.
he goes on to literally assault her, and I'm sitting there watching Frank, like, "Yo, Frank,
That was everybody
your
in my.
lady."
By the way, my theater wasn't packed either, but everybody in my theater watching that was just like, we're everybody was like, we're waiting. We know what's gonna happen, but like,
Yeah,
all right, and then we go, why are we still here? Why is this still? And then boom, and
it.
we're like,
I
all right,
felt
well, what the
like
fuck?
I felt
Somebody
like it.
literally,
I felt like it
somebody
didn't have to
literally
go that
said,
far.
what the fuck did you think was gonna happen?
Like, it was so obvious what was gonna happen.
Well,
Like,
and that's what I'm saying.
the
There's some
first
things
cop
in
of
this
feel
movie,
not okay, but you know what? Sure. What? I hate saying
but there's
that.
just a couple things in this movie that are just too heavy-handed, and that's one of them. Like, I get it.
Yes.
I understand the message, but sometimes it's just too over. You're hitting me over the head a little too much. Like, I get it, and I'm on board. I'm here with it, but now you're just forcing it down my throat, and I'm not particularly cool with that. Because like it's just not done well. Like if I don't know, it feels like low hanging fruit, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
the message is good, but how you go about telling it, I'm not here for
I
that.
think they're like in those moments where it's really heavy handed. Like I appreciate the message that they are trying to tell, but I do think they could have weaved that message in a better way.
No, that's okay. That's exactly what I'm saying. I agree with you. And if that's what you want to do, if that's the movie you want to make that movie. But that's not what we did. We did the Bride of Frankenstein. Part Bride of Frankenstein. This movie is literally a Frankenstein's monster. It's part Bride of Frankenstein, part mob movie, part feminist movie, part road trip movie, part Bonnie and Clyde movie. And it's like, can you just pick one, maybe two? But
Mhm.
you're cramming everything in there, and then you get scenes like the one that I don't like with the detective explaining to me what I already figured out as soon as they laid eyes on each other, right? Explaining that whole backstory to me.
Yeah.
And then he just like hands over his badge. I like that character from the spec that he is the dude that is, and there's a lot of us out there that are on the couch down for the movements, but we don't actually do anything about it, right? Like we're allies in name only. We won't
And
actually
see,
do what we got to do to help them move it along. Because he even says he's what is it? The Penelope Cruz's detective character is like, all right, I want my name on this next one when we get them. And he looks at me, he goes,
not up
you
to
know, it's
me.
not up to me. And then it's silence. But it's like you could fight for that,
See,
which he kind of does at the end. But like that's
yeah.
his whole thing is he's down, he's for the cause, but he's not actually going to take the steps to move it
And
forward.
that's what upsets me about Penelope Cruz's character. Uh
I don't need her.
Myrna Malloy is her character name. I actually she could have been such a better character because we have this whole big feminist movement happening. Like this film is very much about also feminine like women's rights and the one character that shows the like outside of sexual assault, she is the one character who is of a woman being like that you are showing me that is being disrespected and held back because of her gender only out
Right.
of anybody else in the film. And
Right.
she, because we don't get a lot of time and development with them, I like her a little bit at the end because she's kind of a girl's girl at the end. But in that middle bit, because we get such little time with these detectives, she feels so forced, not by the actress, but just the placement of her character. Because I
I
do
agree.
think Penelope does a great job with what she's given, but I don't think the character was given enough for the story.
Yeah, no, the character's kind of dumb. There's a point where she's tailing the bride and then she's also being tailed, but I'm pretty sure they give us a scene where like Penelope Cruz's character makes that she's being tailed and then still allows herself to get tailed like in the dumbest way. Right? Like there's a part where Penelope Cruz's character is like hiding behind a corner and then another character who's there for a bad reason literally just walks right past her. What how do you not notice or do anything about
That
that?
whole ending scene of like how the shootout happens has
Yeah.
me so angry because first off, Clyde, go fuck yourself. Secondly, part of me is like, Miss Ma'am, like, sure, you're not closing doors because you're not trying to alert like the doctor and the bride and everybody else that you are coming in and sneaking up on them, but you're also like not checking behind you if you apparently
Doesn't she hang on, doesn't she look down the steps and see him coming up the steps behind her?
yeah, and then I think she just like like okay, I don't know,
Yeah,
and
then
kept
just leave
yeah,
then just
I
leaves it
was like,
alone.
bitch, I would have rather her dome Clyde and then the shootout never happened. But, you know, we need to
I mean,
have we need to have you know, now finally Detective Malloy be the girl's girl to the doctor and be like, "Take all the time you need. I've put my foot down to some grumpy men who is not happy I'm a female detective.
Yeah.
Take all the time you need. Create lightning in above all of us while we're outside and bring them back, and no one's going to question it apparently."
Right. Yeah. No,
Sorry, that was a little bit of a spoiler, but my god, did that piss
nah,
me
it's
off.
there's stupid. I hate. It's stupid's a strong word, but there's stupid shit in this movie. There really is. Um,
But the
but
core of
it's
it
just
is really good. It has
when
so many good ideas.
when we do the Bride of Frankenstein, it's awesome. That's why I said Christian Bale and Jessie
Yeah.
Buckley are fantastic as these characters and what they do in the story that those two have. It's it's fucking sweet. It's just everything else around it. It's just messy. There's too much.
Like
Much too
the
much.
romance is fantastic. I love it. I dig it. It's fun. It's an interesting way almost like that almost like a cute young love story because Frankenstein's never gotten to have that before and this
Yeah.
is what he's been after and
Yep.
outside of an actor and his work keeping him alive and getting him through his darkest times of life, this is the one thing he's been living for is for
Yep.
this chance. And it's this their relationship in this romance, this like gothic romance, if you will, is a mixture of like sweet young endearment, but also kind of like that fun gothic grotesque bit because of them being the monsters. And also then playing with the like every Frankenstein story usually has the theme of who's really the monster or the humans who look at them as an abomination. And it has still those elements in it as well. And I like that. But then we add more. I I can dig it. But then we keep adding more where it's like, honestly, like Maggie just needed to pause. It's almost like Maggie's like, this is my idea. No drafts. No one else is looking at it. Let's go. I'm down. Like, she had such strong actors. Like I love the moments where it's them, the monsters, the romance. I love the moments where it's Penelope or is it Ida or is it the bride when she's like getting her memories like hints of her memories back and she's struggling with it. But then that is weakened by everything else that's happening and because for the sake that you have too much going on, you have to progress her and her personality changes faster to get on to the next stage. And it's like if Maggie just pumped the brakes on her story, I think we could have had something that was more cohesive, still with her thoughts and ideas, but maybe a little toned down in some areas, a little more fleshed out in others, and we could have actually had a genuine masterpiece.
Yeah. I literally you took all the words right out of my mouth. Right. Like just inherently, just inherently the idea that she is created so she can be the monster's companion. Right there is already like a fucking feminist story right there because that's some bullshit. Like
It's
she
gonna
has no
well, I
choice.
w-
She has no
didn't
choice in the matter.
yeah, she's like, "Well, I wasn't asked. I didn't agree to this."
Right.
And I
Right.
originally thought that's where it was gonna go. Now, I want to say real quick too. While doing, posting all of our socials and everything, and making sure our hashtags went to the right place because was doing hashtag bride. I
Yep.
clicked on it, and then I actually never watched any trailers. I saw like I think a hint of the very very first teaser, but I watched a trailer that was released back in January, like mid January, and it shows you every scene, every major scene from all the big story arcs. I literally called Dan in and was like, "Honey, watch this 2.5 minute trailer." And I was like, "I'm so happy I never saw this trailer because I would have been watching the movie like, well, I know what happens next." They even show the moment at the end where she's screaming when, maybe Frankenstein gets shot. Like, why is that in the trailer?
I will say that the trailers make this movie seem better than it is, and
I
that's
also
not.
kind of agree.
I don't want to say that like it's a major detriment to the movie. But yeah, the trailer definitely sets it up to be something a little bit better than what it is for sure. Just real quick, I will also say that the sets and the look and the modern Gothic thing that we have going on in the 1930s Gothic, like that's awesome. The underground
I
Chicago,
100%
the
agree with you.
nightclub, great scene. New York. awesome. Chicago, awesome. Euphronius's Lab, phenomenal. Love that. So they like nailed the look. I'll give it points for that. The acting and the look are top notch.
I love the
It's
look
just a
for
story.
our monsters. Our monsters, I
Yes.
think, look great.
Until my man gets the tattoo, I don't know what it is. Like
Agreed. No, I
I'm a,
agree. I
I
100%
do
am right there with you.
I don't get it. What the fuck? Why do we keep taking these amazing characters and giving them fucking tattoos? I don't. And speaking as somebody, we both have tattoos, but like we don't have anything like that. We don't just like. I don't. I don't. I'm not the dude that goes into the tattoo parlor and just opens up the book and goes that right here. Like, no, what the why? Like, it's all gotta mean something. This dude, after knowing this chick for 5 minutes, it's not even a real name, just gets it tattooed across his chest. Like, my theater died laughing when we saw that shit. That
I
was great.
also laughed.
I don't I
There
don't
was some
understand.
good laughs from us.
Yeah, I don't understand what that does, like aesthetically, or what they're thinking of when
It's
they're
just
coming up
because
with
like
character designs. I don't get it.
there's interesting stages of like them on their like kind of Jekyll and Hyde, kind of road trip, if you will, that also make me think of those crazy like young 20s kind of like drug bender like movies that we see. Like, oh, they're in their young 20s. They're kind of in the, places they shouldn't be. They're getting drunk, they're doing drugs, they're getting tattoos, they're partying, they're hanging out the car and screaming and like all this stuff and they're stealing vehicles. Like it just kind of made me think back to like movies we watch that are like that. And I'm like, but this man's been alive for over 100 years. I feel like I know he's like feeling young and reinvigorated because he now has a woman. But it also felt like weird.
Yeah,
And I
I
feel
I
like
just
there was a moment where she made an advance on him and then he pulled away, even though that's what he wanted. I was okay with that. But then finally, when he's like, now you just get to live. And then all of that, I feel like emotional buildup was just ripped away and taken away from him, where there could have been more of a meaningful thing to transpire between them romantically.
Yeah, I don't like it for that reason too, because it's supposed to be a love story, and this isn't the first movie that I've had this reaction to. There's another one for another franchise I'm pretty passionate about that hinges on that. I think by the time this movie's over, I'm cool with it because these two characters have that moment where they actually do express their love for each other, right? So
Mhm.
I get it. They've actually been through an arc to be in love. So cool with it. But
She basically gets to the point of F you, I'm making my own decisions, kind of yelling and arguing with each other too. Oh wait, no, I actually do care and love you. Like
Well, but up until that point, especially coming from the monster's perspective, it's not love. Like it's just lust. Like you're just here. This is all just
it's
about
lust
having a
and
good time,
fascinate.
right?
Like yeah, like
Yeah, you are
and
in love
he's
with the idea of this
fascinated.
person.
100%. That is exactly what I was looking for. Like he's in love
That's
with
not
the
the thing,
idea, not necessarily with the woman.
right? It's the idea, and that's
He's in
not the
love with
same
the
thing. And
comfort, the
I
excitement
don't
of it.
I don't like that in something that is being personally, I don't like that as something that's being put out there because I think there's enough people
Yeah. There's
going through
also
relationships like that and shit. And it's just like I don't necessarily think we should be promoting toxic relationships, but like that's kind of
yeah.
what we've been getting lately. And like we love Nosferatu. That is exactly what that is. That is just the most toxic relationship
And
I've
like
ever seen on screen. But it's like, but yeah, then it comes to this, and it's like I'm just not on board with it.
as
Whatever.
a
I don't want to seem like get off my lawn, but
I
I
don't know,
don't. It's not the same thing.
it's just so weird too for me as a woman knowing that we are having a story about a woman who has before her death like a large strong background of like sexual assault and like she is actually we
Implied.
learned she is like we did learn that she was a prostitute in her first life. And
Yeah.
then in this one, she has been sexually assaulted many times. And then it's just like, you wanna fuck? Like, baby girl, like, as a woman, can we not? Can we pump the brakes on that thought? I don't, it just sometimes it sends to me like a weird message
Uh,
to other younger women who could be watching this.
well, sometimes it's like that. Sometimes it is
And
like
that
that. I
and
do
that is
get it.
fair. Everybody
But
copes
this
and works through their trauma differently.
Right, but this movie doesn't do a good enough job explaining that or showing that or really giving this character the chance to identify and deal with the trauma. We just kind of
Correct. You just keep
keep
going.
going. Yeah.
Yes.
So, but that's a whole nother thing, right? Like that's
But if maybe we
that's a
took
big
away
thing.
some unnecessary muddy kinda plot points, or even you
And
could even still
yeah.
had those plot points, but had them implied in the background or, like, in flashbacks, but didn't need to be the forefront of the movie, but know that this is her past. Like, that would have been fine, but then you could have given her more time, because I feel like we do get to a point where she's a pretty decent, like, she has a decent mind. She's kind of like you know, kind of a badass near the end of the film, not necessarily in like a physical "I'm gonna fight you" sense, but just like in an intellectual like she has this
Oh,
both,
both.
yes. No, to be fair, both. But I loved more the intellectual side of her than necessarily the brawny side that I need, or the
So
gutsy
does the
side that having
monster.
to shoot somebody. But I think
That's
there
a
could
nice
have
scene to
been
have in there too. He literally says, "I don't care. I'm in it for your vocabulary. I love your spirit. I love your mind." Like he
yes.
literally says, "I
Yeah.
love your mind."
Yeah, and I love that part, by the way. I love me a man who blows my mind. But it's just one of those things where I I wish we had more moments like that. Not even just for the 2 of them, but even just for her alone, and her, like, almost wish, because we already know she's great at monologues. This actress can monologue her ass off. I'd like to almost see her, like, do, like, more screw Mary. Like, we don't need to talk to Mary Shelley anymore. Let's talk to myself. Let's work myself through this. And I wish we had those connections where she can be introspective with herself and work through her own things, but we don't get it because it is such a muddy storyline.
Correct.
Anyway,
Correct.
I'll
Nah,
keep looping that
it,
topic.
there's layers to this shit, and like, it's unfortunate that because if we, I agree with you. Like take out like the mob stuff, throw it away. Give me that instead. Much better
Mhm.
movie. Or you want to keep the mob stuff? Cool. Maybe I don't need the rioting stuff or the revolution necessarily. We can get rid of that because that doesn't go anywhere either. Um, Give me what's
Honestly,
good.
like that you could have, but it could be in newspaper clippings that maybe you see like like little Easter eggs behind them, but it
Yeah,
doesn't need to be up in the forefront.
I agree.
Like, I
Yeah,
think there could have been fun ways to include all the thoughts without making them have to be fully half fleshed out thoughts.
I don't need Jake Gyllenhaal in here. That could have gone away. Like he doesn't
There was
he doesn't need to be
there
that's
was a
fine
lot
if
of
he
him.
wants to be the actor, right? Like that's fine, but I didn't
Yeah.
actually need them to take time to bump into him. He doesn't do anything.
Yeah. I
I
I
thought that was going to be a pivotal part, but personally,
I kind of
and
wanted him to kill him.
this is the last thing that I really have to say. For his character, the way that the first trailer I saw is structured to me,
Mhm.
he's gonna be like the big bad, right? Like I thought maybe he's the one that did the bride wrong and he's the reason
Sure.
why she's dead. And then they go on the hunt for him or something like that. That's the movie that I thought I was gonna see, particularly when it came to his
Mm.
character. Not what I got at all. At
See,
all.
I at first thought, because you could see, you know, I could respect like we have Jake's character where he is kind of like at the same time like being thoughtful and trying to give the Frankie some time, but then also is a bit disgusted by him. And then you have this moment where he turns away and he's like, I don't know who he is, like blah blah blah. Like I felt like it was going to go to it was going to turn into one of those moments where sometimes it's better not to meet your heroes, and that he was going to be an even more of a dick, and that it was going to make the monster snap. And rather
Yeah,
than her having her I speak for the dead, it was going to be, oh shit, he snapped because the man and the actor who's kind of got him through his acting, through his toughest times, and his hero is
yeah.
actually a piece of shit. I thought that was what was going to happen, and then that we got a dance number.
Right. And that would have actually been a nice little story piece considering his Jake Gyllenhaal's character has a physical deformity too. So it's like it's this like the pot calling the kettle black type shit, right?
Yeah.
Like you're essentially no different than I am, but you're being a fucking dick. Like, yeah, that would have been kind of interesting. Instead, we got the dance number, which whatever. You want to
Just
score this bad boy?
possessing people without explaining how they're being possessed.
Whatever.
I'm assuming. Jesus Christ. Yeah, we can read this movie.
I'm gonna give it a 6, and this is strictly off the backs of the performance of Christian and Jesse, and the look of the film, and the fact that when it, like I said, when it does The Bride of Frankenstein, when it does Frankenstein, it's done really well. The monster has a great backstory, has an overall great story, and it leads into, I think, really touching motivations as to why he's doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
And the inclusion of Dr. Euphronius is phenomenal. Annette Bening is great in that role. I wish there was more of her. That whole thing, like the first half, pretty fucking good. Once there's a scene of them escaping where they're at, that's kind of when it starts to get a little muddy. But that first half is really good, and then there's snippets in between there that are also really good. But it hinges strictly on those two right there. And like I said, the look of the movie and the way that it's filmed, it's done really well. I think Maggie can be a great director, and I think she can tell really good stories. But like you said, there's some shit that needs to be worked on. Otherwise, I think this movie is fine.
Yeah. So just to also a 6 for me for all the reasons you said and more. Like the biggest thing, like this is in general, like I want to like this more. I want to rate it higher than I am, but I just
Yeah,
can't because it kind of the movie shoots itself in its own foot because there's too much happening. Honestly, like I think Maggie, let me double check. I'm pretty sure Maggie was the sole writer. Yeah, she was the sole writer of this. I feel like if she maybe had a secondary person to like in a way help reel her in, like I think we could have all of the plot points she has in this film, but make some of them less important. This is who Ida was. This is what her life was. There may be implications, but it's not the main forefront of the film. The main forefront is their relationship and the love, maybe love story. We'll see what happens. Because I think there could have been like a strong tying into like getting loose memories from her past to then being reinvigorated to be just someone's bride without having the choice in the matter. And she's also, like, to the doctor, kind of bit of annoyance, a bit of a loose cannon, which I like because we have calm, more typically more calm, collected Frankenstein because he's been around for a long time and just know how the world's going to work and treat him to where basically we have Jesse Buckley's character, freshly reinvigorated, is kind of like the child, the loose cannon of the two of them, and can I would have almost liked to see more of like the power struggle between her and the doctor. Who's gonna win? Is it gonna be her, the loose cannon, or is the doctor gonna be able to control her and then give us a bigger payoff for them finally sneaking out together? Um, but we didn't get any of that, and we didn't get, I think, where a better focus could have been about being brought back to be someone's bride when she didn't want to be or didn't have a say in the matter and could have had a whole feminine theme from that whole story arc alone, and then muddling what that could have been with everything else, or at least muddling it with all everything else being too much in the front.
I agree.
So that is my tangent.
Lena, thank you for joining us for the first time.
Hello, hello.
Appreciate you coming in and checking this out. Yeah, no, you did come in at a hell of a time. We just got done giving our thoughts on 2026's The Bride, and yeah, no, we have issues. We're both giving it a 6 out of 10 for a multitude of
There's
reasons.
so much. It's just there's so much good in this movie that it
It's
just
good
doesn't
ideas.
it doesn't allow itself to shine like how it should.
Anthony and I say it all the time. There's a good movie in here.
100%.
There really is. It's just all about execution, and like you just said, Maggie did this all on her own, and I can definitely see why this was greenlit because like it's a hell of an idea, and what a way to tell this story. So like I'm still on board with it in that respect because like we literally just got Frankenstein again in its classical form by Del Toro. And the
Yep.
only thing that that movie did different is just the way that it looks. But otherwise, you know the fucking story, right? You've heard, if even from Boris Karloff to De Niro to now Elordi, like it's the same shit. We've seen
Mhm.
it before. It's just whoever decides to put their creative spin on it. This is completely different as far as that is concerned. The themes are the same because it's Frankenstein, it's a classic, and there's beats that you have to hit, which this movie does hit, but it's everything else that it tacks on top, probably to differentiate itself from everything else, where this movie gets hung up and ultimately doesn't nail what it's trying to do. But the intent is there, the filmmaking is there. It's just that fucking story, man, just probably needed another pass or two.
And it just needed to be tightened up.
Yep,
Like it just it very much feels like it was made in its draft stage.
facts.
So
And that is the abridged version of what we've been talking about for about an hour and a half. So thank you. Thank you for joining us.
less than, but you know.
Yeah, well, Morgan is now going to give you the spiel. So if you like what we're doing right now, you can join us every week because we try to do this every week.
Yeah, so real quick, thank you, Lena, over on Twitch for the follow. Welcome to the Wannabes. But in case y'all want to tune in, we do tune in every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, reviewing the latest films and shows out there, occasionally anime as well. But you can catch us on Twitch, you can catch us on YouTube, and we do get our stuff up on Spotify. So go ahead and follow over there as well. But if you want to know what we're reviewing and if our schedule changes, which it rarely does, but it happens occasionally, you can follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or X, whichever one you prefer to call it, Blue Sky, Threads, LinkedIn. Go follow us over on all of those so that way you know when we're going live, which most of the time and almost every week is at 8 p.m. on Wednesdays, and what we're reviewing. Because if you want to catch the movie beforehand so you can really discuss the movie with us in chat, because we love it when we have people chatting with us about the movies, you
Yes,
can
we
go
do.
ahead and do so. Um, excuse me, my voice was cracking there. But yeah, if you enjoyed this in wow, I can't talk now that I've talked forever. But if you guys enjoyed the movie review of The Bride, please like the YouTube stream. If you're not following, follow, subscribe, whatever you can do. We appreciate the support. I think next week we will be live reviewing Hoppers. Am I remember correctly?
Yeah, we're gonna do hoppers.
I think it's gonna be a
Can't
good
wait.
discussion. So yeah,
Yeah,
you guys can tune in next week for Hoppers. It's announced now, so y'all should be able to go watch it and then talk about it with us. Same. All right, everybody. That does conclude our live review of The Bride, and we will catch you next week for the Hoppers. So have a good night. Everybody stay safe out there, and next time, don't forget the popcorn. See you guys.
good night.